All right, if you're part of a small HR team, you know this feeling. You're stretched thin, right? We're going to break down an automation playbook. And look, this isn't about some fancy, complicated tech. It's about survival. It's about how you stop just treading water and start operating like a team 10 times your size.
Yeah, let's be real. It all starts with this feeling. And this isn't an exaggeration, is it? It's the day-to-day. You feel like you're drowning. But here's the thing. It's not because you're failing. It's because you're doing the work of a huge team with the capacity of, well, a small one. And that feeling, that's exactly why we need to find a smarter way to do things.
And here is the number one culprit. We call it the admin tax. Seriously, studies show that up to 60%, 60, of an HR pro's time just gets eaten alive by repetitive admin tasks. Think about that. That's more than half your week gone. Boof. It's a tax on your time, your energy, and ultimately your ability to make a real impact.
So, the big question is, how do you get that time back? Well, this is the answer. And I want you to stop thinking of automation as this big, scary, futuristic thing. No. Think of it as a lifeline. It's the single most practical tool you have to claw back those hours and actually focus on what matters most, your people.
Okay, so where do you even start with all this? First off, forget that crazy advice to automate everything. That's just overwhelming. The real first step, the smart move, is to find your black holes. You know, those few key areas where your time and energy just vanish. And for most small HR teams, they usually boil down to these three. First up, onboarding. You know, the classic mountain of emails. Second is contract generation and all the document shuffling that goes with it. And number three, all that recurring admin. We're talking stipends, benefits prep, getting stuff ready for payroll. Seriously, just tackling these three can be an absolute game changer. Now, this next part is, and I mean this, non-negotiable. Before you try to automate anything, you have to map it out. And the logic is super simple. Trigger, action, output. What kicks the whole thing off? What are the literal steps that happen? And what's the end result? If you can't break down your process that simply, trust me, you can't automate it. All right, so once we found our black holes and mapped them out, now we get to build the playbook. This is the fun part. This is where we turn all that theory into actual time-saving flows. We're going to see what this really looks like in practice. No hype, just the real deal. So, let's take a look at our first flow, onboarding. The trigger? A new hire signs their offer letter. Bam. From that one event, a whole chain reaction kicks off automatically. Accounts get created, docs are sent out, IT gets a heads up, welcome messages get drafted, and the output? You've got a new employee who is totally prepped and ready for their first day, and you didn't have to manually pull a single lever. And just stop and think about the volume here for a second. We're talking about saving 10 to 20 emails for every single hire. Now, multiply that by how many people you bring on board in a year. The amount of time you get back is just, it's staggering. Okay, this next flow is awesome because it tackles one of the most mind-numbing tasks out there, contracts. So the trigger is just you filling out a simple form. That's it. From there, the system grabs the right template, plugs in the data, name, salary, all that stuff, makes a PDF, sends it off for an e-signature, and then files the final copy away. I mean, no more copy-pasting. No more is this version 3 or version 4 final. It's just gone. And the impact? It's huge. This one thing can wipe out up to 90% of those manual contract mistakes. And that's not just about saving time. It's a massive, massive win for your compliance and your peace of mind. And last but not least, we've got that recurring admin. The cool thing here is the trigger isn't even a person. It's the calendar. So every month, like clockwork, the system wakes up, pulls the data it needs, calculates things like stipends, flags anything weird for you to look at, and then boom, emails the report straight to finance. A job that took hours now takes seconds. That right there is what scaling actually feels like.
Okay, I can hear what some of you are thinking right now. This sounds great, but isn't it super risky? Like, are we just automating our way into a lawsuit? And you know what? That is a totally fair question.
And here's the answer. Smart automation isn't about giving up control. It's actually about building in better control with what we call compliance guardrails. We're talking about automatic checkpoints for things like right to work, data privacy, even different rules for different countries. You can build in approval steps for big changes, and you get an automatic audit log of everything. This is how a small team gets to operate with the discipline of a giant corporation.
And all of this brings us to the real payoff. We've talked a lot about the how. Now let's talk about the why. Because the end goal here isn't just to be more efficient. The real purpose is to free you up to be more strategic, more present, and, well, more human.
Think of it like this. It's the perfect trade. You're not taking the human out of human resources. You're taking out the admin that gets in the way of being human. You're swapping out manual data entry for a high-impact conversation. You're trading repetitive emails for personal interactions that actually build your company culture. So what are you going to do with all this extra time? Well, you could send a quick 30-second welcome video from a new hire's manager, or just a simple, "Hey, how's your first day going?" message. Imagine the difference that makes compared to another automated form email. These are the small human touches that have a huge impact. They matter so much more than the admin ever will.
And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. A small HR team doesn't win by just working harder. That's a battle you'll never win. You win by working smarter, by building systems that do the heavy lifting for you. That frees you up to put your energy where it actually counts.
So look, at the end of the day, automation isn't a threat. It's not here to replace you. It's the tool that finally gives you the breathing room to do the job you actually signed up for, to be strategic, to connect with your people, and to build an amazing place to work.